Hello, 22 Tony here with a new video on being prepared on a budget. This is going to be a little bit different than the videos I've made in the past, but I think it may be interest to the type of people who have watched my videos in the past. I hope you enjoy this and get something out of it. In fact, if I save one family from grief, it'll be well worth making and well worth your time to watch it. So today I just want to talk about how to be prepared for an emergency, natural disaster, supply chain interruption, pandemic, whatever the case may be. I'm not talking about the zombie apocalypse where I'm going to live in a dungeon in the basement for the next 7 years. I'm looking at a supply chain interruption where we've got a few weeks, maybe a month or two, where we just have a real hard time finding anything. That's what I think is more important. That's what most of us really need to be prepared for. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on staple items. These are things that I keep in my pantry all the time. I'm assuming that most of you keep those items as well. As far as staple items, I will point out, just because I noticed this, that the flour that I grabbed is pasta flour. In an emergency situation, that's something I recommend absolutely everybody have, whether you've ever made your own pasta or not. Pasta is something that can be made without eggs and milk. And in a supply chain situation, those may be items that you may not have easy access to. So you can feed your family inexpensively on a big bowl of pasta, and it can be made with two ingredients, the flour and water. I think usually most people put in a little bit of salt too. Ideally, I do use egg in mine, but it's not required. So let's set those aside for a second. I also I didn't want to get into the commercial 25-year food storage kits. I think many of those have a great value. The ones I've seen I think are tremendous value. However, many of us, maybe most of us, don't have hundreds if not thousands of dollars to plunk down at once to keep a supply of freeze-dried fruit in our basement. I do have a few of them, and again, the ones I've seen, I'm very pleased with what I got for my money. But I got those when I was in a position that I had a little bit more money to spend, and I was able to do it. What I want to talk about today is, I'll get into it when I get into this tote. There's been times in my life when I didn't have a lot of extra money to spend, and I did want to still be prepared so that I could feed my family in a case of emergency. Before I get too far into food, though, I do want to mention a staple that hopefully the COVID taught us all, that you better keep some extra toilet paper on hand. So I'm not going to talk much about that either, just mention that in passing. Like I said, I do have some of the prepared food kits, and I think those are a great thing to have, but I supplemented those with something else. Now, to get started here, I'm going to start on this tote in a minute. I've literally not opened that tote in 15 years, and I'm not 100% sure what's in it, and we're going to find out together. About 15 to 20 years ago, I was starting a new job, and we had some local weather issues that opened my eyes that, having a week's supply of food in the house wasn't really enough. That in our case we were fine, but I realized that we might not always be fine. So I decided that it was time to do something. I had just started a new job. There wasn't a lot of extra money around. I wasn't going to go out and spend $500 or $600 on a month's supply of food for me and my family. So what I decided to do is, slowly, as I went to my regular grocery shopping, just add 1 or 2 items. I didn't really notice it because it was just part of my regular grocery bill, and I started setting those aside. Well, I had to be careful what items to get. I couldn't buy an extra pound of ground beef and stick it in a tote in my basement. That's not going to work. So I had to use a little common sense and get things that were going to last for a long period of time. In order to make it even better, at a garage sale, I found a food saver device. You've probably all heard of them. It's a vacuum sealed device. I got this one for $5 at a garage sale, and it came with the bags, a couple of boxes of unopened bags, so I was able to seal my new food supplies. Okay, so now let's talk about this tote. The tote and the backpack both came about, like I said, about 15 or 20 years ago. I knew that I had to do something, and I wasn't sure exactly what to do, so I started mostly using common sense. I did a little bit of research on the internet, but it was mostly common sense. The backpack, for the most part, is non-food items, things that I'm going to need, you know, if I have to grab something quick and go. Extra towels. I believe I have some pots in here, and some cooking, a little cooking stove, and emergency lights, those types of things. Again, these are things that I didn't go out and spend a ton of money all at once. The backpack also came from a garage sale, and just as I happen to see at garage sales or on sale at the big box stores or wherever, I would occasionally pick up a few things and just stick them in the backpack. So we're probably not going to go through that today. But I really want to get into this tote, even just for myself. Like I said, I haven't been in this thing in 15 years, and I'm kind of curious what I put aside 15 years ago. I've got some ideas what's in there, but I don't know 100%. So let's go ahead and open it up. And right off the bat, I already mentioned milk might be a problem. I've got a packet of dried milk. I think these come in like 6 or 12 to a box, and I vacuum sealed one, put it away. It's dry. I don't know what the shelf life is on this, but this is at least 15 years old, and I would have no problem using it today if I was out of milk. Then I see that I do have, it looks like 2, there might be more in there when I get down to it, military MREs. They apparently came from a Goodwill store or something. I'm not even sure where I got those. They're great to have, great supplement meal. However, they are a bit bulky. For me to have enough to feed, at this time there's 2 of us, but at that time there were 3. To feed 3 people for a month in case of a supply chain issue, to have enough of this, that's just not an issue. It's way too expensive, way too bulky. But again, I must have got a couple of them real inexpensively, and I went ahead and threw them in with my supply here. So if something had happened and I had needed to break into this emergency kit, that would have been nice to have at least a few extra hot meals available to me. So let's get rid of those for now. Then let's see what we got here. Potassium iodide. I knew I had some of this. I didn't even remember where I put it. This in case of, I don't want to give medical advice. In fact, I highly recommend you question every word that comes out of my mouth. Anything I tell you, don't believe it. Do your own research, find out for yourself. The potassium iodide is in case of nuclear issues. Supposedly it helps your thyroid. And again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to go any further on that. And I also see some medical supplies. Some of these are prescription pills that I was no longer using, that rather than throw them out, I just kind of stuck them in here, vacuum sealed them, and I've got them available now. Band-Aids, something it seems like in an emergency is when you're out of those things. Even though I've got hundreds of them here, if I cut myself tomorrow, I wouldn't be able to find any. So in an emergency, Neosporin and Band-Aids is a nice thing to have around. I also see I have a commercial first aid kit. These aren't very expensive. At the time, I think this was like $12 or $13, or probably more than that now. I'm sure they're more than that now. But again, just some basic first aid supplies. Certainly something everybody should have in an emergency. Okay, so now let's, hopefully I'll get down into some food here, because that's what I wanted to talk about. This was from Walmart. I think this is your basic cereal mix. Again, I think they were $1 or $2 at the time. It was something that I wouldn't go out and buy a month's supply. I wouldn't have had the money, but I happened to be in Walmart. I grabbed one of them, threw it in as part of my Walmart bill. I didn't even notice it. I was able to add it to my food supply, and in an emergency I would have had that available. Some more basic baking needs that, again, in an emergency situation, you may not have access to bread. Certainly baked goods, desserts, and those types of things may be an issue. Looks like something else from an MRE in here. The accessory packet from an MRE I stuck in there as well. So again, not a lot of money here, but in an emergency it's invaluable. Let's see. Emergency radio. Again, these things aren't very expensive. You get them at the Goodwill store for a couple bucks, or any thrift shop was going to have something similar. And again, this one, I have no idea where I got it from, but I'm sure I didn't pay more than a couple dollars for it. Okay, some more Walmart items. The same thing, walking through Walmart at the time. So an entree serves 2 people, beef stroganoff and noodles. I'm not sure what the other one is, but at the time, 15-20 years ago, I know those weren't more than a couple dollars. I think they're probably closer to $10 now. But again, something freeze-dried, long shelf life, and then by vacuum sealing it. I actually went on the internet and bought some oxygen absorbers when I did this. Best Buy used by 2017. I would have absolutely no issue using that today. In fact, we probably will. Now that I broke open this kit, we're probably going to have that for supper one of these days. Okay, some more just oddball things that I had. Sugar from a Hilton, you know, I'm not sure where all this came from, but coffee packets. Things that when the supply chain breaks down and you're not able to get them, you'd be really glad to have those around. Now here's more of what I'm talking about being prepared with food. Rice, for something that you can feed your family a long time on a bag of rice. Instant mashed potatoes, couple different flavors of instant mashed potatoes. Again, I have the oxygen absorber. I don't think that was necessary, but since I was able to get them inexpensively on the internet, I went ahead and did it. These are things that I highly recommend you have as part of your emergency kit. Rice is rice. I don't know if there's even an expiration date on here, but it's basically good for my life. You know, I have no concern about eating that at any time in my life. Again, these at the time, these mashed potatoes, because I know we still use those. My wife loves mashed potatoes. I think they're up to like $2 a bag now. At the time, I think they were like 50 cents a bag. So by popping them in there, probably beating inflation besides being prepared. Let's see what else I've got in here. I've got some more of these Walmart kits. And actually, this one's heavier into that kind of stuff than I thought it was. I thought it was more, I was going to see more of rice. There's another one of the Walmart kits. Bouillon, a bouillon cube, a cup of water, and well, about 2 cups of water, a bouillon cube, and a cup of this rice in a pot. Simmer it for 20 minutes, and in a pinch, that's a meal. You know, you're all set there. A little bit high in sodium, but again, in an emergency, we're not going to worry about that. And like I said, I hadn't been in this kit for 15 years. I'm really surprised I have this much of the Mountain House items. But again, freeze-dried, long shelf life. The fact that I vacuum sealed them with oxygen absorbers, I would give them basically unlimited shelf life. Again, don't take my word for that. Do your own research. Something else that I didn't really think about when I started filming, candles and matches. Those are things when the power goes out, I can cook on those candles. You know, I can read a book and keep myself amused on one of those candles. Highly recommend candles and matches. This is vacuum sealed. So actually it looks like the vacuum now. It's still got a good vacuum on it. I don't think that was necessary, but I've had the machine that does it. So I went ahead and put a vacuum on that. I suspect those matches are good for 20-30 years packed like that. Now we're getting down to the bottom here. Let's see what else I've got. And oh, okay. This is emergency food bars. This is something I splurged on a little bit as far as the kit goes. And it looks like this one lost its seal. It's got let some air in there. These are available on the internet at the time. I really don't remember. I think it was like $15 at the time. I have no idea what these things taste like, but one bar is a serving. It's got 200 calories, and there are, let me see if I can see here. Daytrax emergency ration, approved by the Coast Guard. Sorry to just keep you hanging here. not sure how many bars are in there. I think it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I think it's 24 bars, and each one's a serving. So, you know, at that rate, I've got a meal for, at the time, like I said, there were 3 at the time. So 24 bars, that's 8 meals for the 3 of us. A couple days worth of food in that one little package. I'm guessing it doesn't taste the greatest, but if that's all I've got, I certainly would be more than happy to eat it. And as far as this kit goes, that's all there is. Like I said, the backpack does have a little more food in it, but it's more towards the cooking utensils and those types of things. So what I'm looking at here is, again, in a case of emergency, if all else failed and I had to do what I had to do, I could have fed my family for at least a week on what I have here, and probably a little bit longer in a pinch. And the fact is that I didn't even notice the money going in, because this probably took me 2 months to put this together, because I was buying 1 or 2 items at a time. Like I said, I found a couple of things either at a garage sale or Goodwill store or something. So those just were part of my weekly budget, and I didn't really notice it. So for, you know, the bucket I have here in the back, it's kind of out of view now, but in that bucket, it was probably, I don't know, $80 or $100. I could feed my family for a week, or by putting this all together, probably cost me $30 or $40, but I split it up over, let's say, 10 weeks, add an extra $3 a week, I didn't even notice it. And I'd suggest you do the same thing. If you just a couple dollars a week, instead of, you know, if you normally buy 3 cans of soup a week, buy 4, stick 1 aside. If you normally buy 2 bags of rice a month, buy a 3rd one and stick it aside. You're not even going to notice it if you do it slowly. Get a tote, and again, I guarantee that came from a garage sale, because I wouldn't have paid full price for it, because I'm cheap. A tote or a backpack or something, and just start packing it up. It'll take you a few weeks, maybe a few months, and eventually, once you get it filled up, go ahead, seal it up, stick it in the basement, closet, garage, attic, wherever you want to put it. And next time we run into the COVID, supply chain issues, hurricanes, whatever it is, it may not be cheeseburgers and New York strip steaks, but you're not going to be in a panic situation either. I hope some of you found that helpful. If you did, please like it. You can check out my other videos as well. Again, they're a little bit different than this. You may like those as well. But thank you for listening till the end, and I hope you never need any of this.